Good morning. Welcome to week 2, day 1, or day 1 of week 2, however you want to look at it. We're on the second week of my 6-week mindfulness journey. I'm going to recap on it now and then talk about the breath activity that I mentioned yesterday. This was talking about just really focusing in on the breath, like literally just one breath at a time, not thinking about the breath that's just been, or forgetting about that once it's happened, and then literally just focusing on that breath right in that moment. I won't need to read all through the activity again, but that's basically what it was. And I gave myself some time, after doing the school run this morning, sat down, put a nice bit of music on, just sat and really try focusing on that breath. What I did find, mainly because it's pretty stormy and windy out there again, that noise was obviously fairly distracting, and I noticed that taking my attention. Rattling the door just behind me as well, obviously getting in through gaps around the windows or whatever. There was that, but I noticed that and not really managed to eventually just bring it right back to the breath. And I don't know how long I was doing it for. I wasn't putting a time limit on it necessarily, but I found it just very soothing, very calming, just something very simple to dwell on. The miracle of of breath. That most of the time our body's doing it and we're not really conscious of it, although we obviously know it's happening because we're up and about. If we weren't, then there'd be problems. So anyway, here we are at the start of week 2, and this is called Allowfulness is the name of this. Well, I suppose it's a chapter in it. There's a chapter and then sort of sub chapters in it. So I'll just start straight off with week 2. And the author's saying here, to find real peace, you will have to make peace with your inner world. The outer world is another story, but you will discover that when you are in accord with the inner world, the outer seems much more pleasant. So we work with the inner, and we either enjoy the outer or use it as fuel for our practice. To do this, we will focus this week on learning the skill that the author calls allowfulness, which begins with a journey of curiosity into thoughts and emotions. Apparently the word allowfulness, it came into the author's mind one day as a way to describe what appears to be a paradox. So it's accepting what is while simultaneously acting to improve it. Okay? Allowfulness means allowing this moment to be exactly as it is, then doing what you can to make a positive change. It can free us from the many habits of humans that are energy sapping, destructive and largely pointless. Habits that aim to control the way life unfolds. What we will learn this week is how to break out of the cycle, do something radically different, and instead dive into feelings in a way that is safe. We'll also learn how to embrace whatever arises internally and externally, and to then do whatever we can to improve it. And next little subheading here, the myth of progress. A lot of people who practice mindfulness get caught up in the notion that this practice is linear. They say things or think things such as, I need to do it right, I need to do it well, then I'm a good meditator, and so on. Or I'm getting closer to enlightenment, I will get there soon, faster than you. Or I'm a terrible student, I can't do this. Then there's more negative ones, I can't do this, why should I bother? I will never sit again. I will never get to enlightenment, or everyone else will get there first. This practice is not linear, though, it's saying. There is no place that we're trying to get to. We're just practicing being present in this moment. And I suppose it literally, by its very definition there, you're being present in every single moment means that there's never really a destination you're going to. You're just practicing those moments, being in those moments. or just practicing being just practicing being present in the moment. There can be no future destination, because future means thinking, and mindfulness is the art of learning not to think. Of course, thought still arises, but we learn to stop fussing with thoughts, stressing out about them and playing with them. We learn to sit and watch instead. Watch them pass by. Like, I think a good analogy I'd heard was, imagine them like, imagine yourself as being the sky. The sky is always there, and your thoughts are clouds. They come. Sometimes they hang around for a little while, and other times they just literally just pass straight by. But if you view it that way, imagine you're the sky and just see this thought arise, and then let it pass you by. Or observe it, see sort of how it's making you feel, and then let it kind of drift off. So it's saying this week, be careful that your mind does not Be careful that your mind does not turn the practice of allowfulness into a way to make progress, a way to stop the power of pain and suffering. This progress implies future, the pursuit of which is causing your suffering in the first place. Take progress off the table, and instead learn to allow this moment and yourself to be just as it is, or just as you are, however you want to look at it. So here we are. Day 1 of week 2 is called Allow Yourself. And this talks about arguing with myself here. Most humans are not entirely happy with who they are. They believe themselves to be too old, too heavy, too pale, too poor, or some other variation on this theme. Of course, these stories aren't real. They're just that. They're stories, they're thoughts repeated in the mind and believed. The mind uses these stories to try to motivate us to be better, faster, healthier, smarter. But the result is simply pain, and perhaps a combination of the behaviours we are seeking to change. Truthfully, the mind, when exposed to anything for long enough, will find something to complain about, and we are no different. It is an expert. The mind is an expert at finding what is lacking or what is in excess and making that into a problem. Before exploring this any further, the author's saying that they want to be clear. They're not saying that we should try to improve. They're not saying that we should not try to improve our health, job prospects, or anything else about our life. But they also want to be clear about the cost of turning ourselves into a walking problem. I can kind of understand that there. That you don't want to sort of add problem on top of problem on top of problem, because then which one do you start trying to work on? They also want to be crystal clear about the reality of our lives in this instant. It is exactly as it is. This may not sound like the most profound revelation, but consider this. Whether we beat ourselves up or not, we are exactly as we are in this instant. Would we rather be exactly as we are and at peace with ourselves, or at war? This is the only choice. Goes on to say, as it turns out, people who are at peace with themselves, as they are, seem to make better choices. About taking care of their body or their lives. After all, did all the guilt about weight, being overweight or underweight, ever lead to a healthy lifestyle in the long term? Did the gnawing anxiety about some impulse buy make you a responsible money manager? Or did these feelings of negativity and low self-worth merely feed the cycle that leads to those behaviours in the first place? I suppose vicious circle, isn't it? Or can be. And what was the cost in time, energy and stress of all that self-criticism? The flawed assumption underneath the vicious cycle is that self-criticism will lead to self-improvement, which will lead eventually to future happiness. But as the only moment you will ever experience is this one, happiness can only be here now. And as we have seen already, the very source of dissatisfaction is the act of looking to the future for fulfillment. Look into somewhere where happiness isn't, you've got to experience it in every single moment. If you live by this pattern, you will never find happiness or self-acceptance, because as soon as you arrive at the place the mind says you should be at, be it hitting a particular weight, getting a certain salary or something else, your goals will then shift. You have no doubt experienced this phenomenon when you thought that a new car would lead to happiness. But after a few weeks of owning it, you started to think how run down your house was, and so it goes on. Talking of car, I think the best thing that I did recently was actually buy a car completely outright. I completely own it. Obviously I have to insure and tax it. But the previous one I had was financed, and unfortunately ended up having a bit of a prang in that. And the experience I had with the experience I had with my insurer was fine. It was sort of subsequently when it was taken to a repair place, and it was there for nearly 2 weeks. I then found out apparently it wasn't worth repairing it. The repair would have been far too expensive, and so anyway, but they kind of sorted the finance for me, took the car off my hands. Unfortunately probably scrapped it in the end, but kind of that's not the point. It led me to go, right, I've got this amount of money aside or in my savings, and I thought, okay, go and buy a car. It's it's not it works. It gets me from A to B. It's not the most fantastic and flash car, but it's a car. Do you know what I mean? It works. It starts. I'm happy with that. So it goes on then to say the same applies to the story of ourselves. Even if we arrive at the perfect point in terms of health, wealth, relationships, and everything else, there will soon enough be a downward slide as death approaches. A bit of a morbid turn there, but realistic, and that's. I think actually, just picking up on that, I don't feel that that's something that we ever really confront or think about or talk about. It's life has a 100% mortality rate. So that is what it is. We can't change it, but what we can change or what we can control is each moment we're living in. This is the fatal flaw in looking for contentment by changing something about you or the world. It always fails eventually. So let's try something different, it says. And then it's reflecting on the hypothetical situation, or actually the very real situation, that's just describing of most, if not all, of our lives. It's saying, so what happened there? Nothing about us improved, but perhaps we were able to enjoy ourselves even for a moment or two. The reason for this is that the author hopes we stepped out of our story, or stepped out of the story for a brief moment, and this is the key to being content within ourselves. When we step out of the story, we can find the place in us that is already content, the part that can't be improved, pure awareness, and from there we can enjoy watching the game of life, the coming and going. One of the names for Buddha, it goes on to say, is Tathagata, which roughly translates as looks like coming, looks like going. Isn't that beautiful? Everything about me looks like coming, looks like going. It is arising or disappearing in each instant. As breath comes and goes, we can learn how to live skillfully when it comes to improving ourselves. When wealth comes, enjoy it. When it goes, enjoy that. When health comes, enjoy it. And when it goes, let it. It will anyway. In this way, holding our so-called achievements and so-called failures lightly, we learn to appreciate what exists beyond both, which is your life in this instant. No story, no worries. That, talking about, I think, the health there in particular, goes back to something I believe I mentioned in the earlier video. Talking of actually another video I'd seen where someone was, sort of giving advice, or just their view of how to control, not how to control things. Basically, it was making a list of things that need improving, or a list of things that are a problem, and it's looking at what you can't control and crossing that off, and then focusing on what you can control. And actually, I think we'd probably find that the stuff that we can't control. No, what was I gonna say? I can't recall where it was taking me. Yeah, I imagine actually the stuff that we can control is probably quite limited, which means we can just forget the stuff that we can't control, because there's no point if you worrying about it if you can't control it. So yeah, anyway, we're on to the activity for today, or for this week, however you look at it. So the activity is called Allowing Yourself. And here, so today I invite you to explore what happens when, instead of looking to chisel, shape and change yourself, you enjoy yourself as you are this instant. Close your eyes for a moment once you have read these instructions and take your attention to your breath. Feel the air coming and going. Feel how the body moves and changes with each in and out breath, and let each breath be exactly as long or as short as it is. Allow the breath to come and go, and allow yourself to rest on it. Enjoy the feeling of coming and going. Sit with this for a few minutes, and whenever the mind comes in with something you need to do, achieve, or think about, come back to enjoying yourself exactly as you are. And after you stand up and move on with the day, remember that this pure, simple enjoyment is with you always. Reading that actually is yeah, so just reading that little activity there makes me aware actually of how the breathing exercise that I mentioned before doing, this morning, kind of made me feel, just kind of happy and content in those moments, and feeling the breath, feeling how it makes the body move, or how it feels, So yeah, very nice. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with another sort of short little thought. This is in another little mini mindfulness book that I've got. It's I guess it's a poem, or at the very least it's sort of just a little short story type thing. It's by Jalal al-Din Rumi, from a very long time ago. They lived in the 1200s, 1207 to 1273. It's called The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house, empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honourably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door, laughing, and invite them in. Be grateful for whomever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Nice words there, I think. So yeah, leave you all with those thoughts, or those words even. Thank you again for watching, for the people who are watching. If you'd like to share this with your friends and family, please do, that'd be great. If there's something particular in the videos that makes you happy, or that you identify with, feel free to leave a comment and let me know about that. And if you really enjoy it, if you want to like and subscribe to my channel, then please do. But for now, I'll leave you. I'll be back for day 2 of week 2 tomorrow. Take care all. Much love.